You can always count on your local Geico agent. They can bundle your policies, which could save you hundreds.
Oh, this treehouse looks like particle board. Yeah, there we go. I'm starting to doubt myself.
For expert help with all your insurance needs, visit geico.com/local today.
1050 ESPN New York. The biggest names and the biggest games. WEPN New York. A Good Karma Brands radio station. Now on SportsCenter all night. Russell Westbrook is to stay in La La Land.
The big key here, and this is what Woj reported on when he broke this news a short time ago, is that Russell Westbrook had lengthy discussions with Ty Lue and with Lawrence Frank, the president of basketball operations, about what the role is going to be.
The quarterback carousel is heating up.
And the potential quarterback carousel is now Lamar Jackson the first domino to fall. If there are whispers of him being available, wouldn't teams line up to see if they can get Lamar first?
Plus, is it time for the NBA to make some changes?
There was no effort whatsoever. What we should be able to see, other than dunks, we should not be able to look at a basketball game and know that anybody could be on the court with you based on the effort you're putting on display. It just reeks of a level of arrogance.
This is SportsCenter all night. Here's Jay Reynolds.
SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. Team Giannis winning the All-Star game on Sunday. Team Milwaukee Bucks perhaps winning the news on Monday. Giannis taking to the court in the All-Star game with an injured wrist, scored that first basket in the first half. Half a minute of action. Left the game, done for the night. Sources telling Woj on Monday, Giannis has a sprained ligament in his right wrist. He'll undergo treatment. The expectation is he'll return to the lineup once the pain subsides. Russell Westbrook may have been dealing with an injured pride. He was dealt by the Lakers at the trade deadline, sent to the Jazz Monday, officially waived by Utah after working out a buyout on the remaining $47 million on his expiring deal. But he won't be without work. Expected to return to L.A. His agent says he'll sign with the Clippers.
I love this. And the reason I love it is because Russell Westbrook's going to show up. He's going to be on the court. And we don't know when Paul George is going to be on the court when he's going to be hurt. We don't know when Kawhi Leonard's going to be on the court when he's going to be hurt. Russell Westbrook going to show up.
Our Stephen A. Smith likes it. As for the talks that led up to the move, ESPN insider Adrian Wojnarowski.
A lot of conversations between the Clippers front office and coaching staff and Russell Westbrook, his agent, Jeff Schwartz, over the last several days. I think really digging down with Westbrook about how he would accept a role with the Clippers, what they want out of him, which is playmaking, rebounding from the guard position, and certainly the intensity he brings. They want him to be a more efficient player. But they were convinced, and I think Ty Lue and certainly Paul George, who we played with in Oklahoma City, these were proponents of it. But I think Russell Westbrook really sold the Clippers over the last several days about his desire to play there, about his desire to win there, and to be part of a team that still has championship aspirations. The Bulls were in there. The Wizards were in there. The Heat to an extent. I think, but Russell Westbrook seeing the opportunity here. And if you're Russell Westbrook, this is a chance not just to play and try to compete to get deep in the playoffs this year, but to set you up for the summer to create some more interest in your free agency. Obviously, he does the buyout. He signs with the Clippers now for the rest of the season.
Overall, the move for Russell Westbrook to join the Clippers getting a thumbs up. ESPN analyst Kendrick Perkins says there is that long-term effect as well.
I think it's going to be great. And I think it's going to be great for Russ because he's actually going to have a coach that's proven that can actually look him in the eyes and challenge him. And Russ has no choice but to respect it. And I think that's what's going to be good for Russ. Also, on top of that, I think Russ knows this. He's auditioning right now. And I'm not talking about auditioning for another contract. I'm talking about he's auditioning to save the rest of his career. Guys want to know, can he be a guy that's not going to be, one, a headache in the locker room, two, go be able to buy into a lesser role, and three, go be a guy that you could put on the team that could actually be a championship contender. So right now he has an opportunity to show the world that he's capable of being that guy. And so I think it's going to help the Clippers. I think it's an upgrade from what they had. So with the West being wide open right now, with the depth the Clippers already got, this was a hell of a pickup by them.
And it's also worth noting the Clippers and Lakers will be meeting on Wednesday, April 5th, and you'll see that game on ESPN. Someone we haven't seen lately, Myers Leonard, the free agent 7-footer, is returning to the court. Leonard served a 1-week NBA suspension after uttering an anti-Semitic slur on a video game live stream in March of 2021. He's been out of the NBA since then. He's also been rehabbing after surgery for the nerve damage in his right leg, but he's now signing a 10-day contract with the Milwaukee Bucks. Sports Center all night. ESPN Radio. From the NBA to college, we're getting down to crunch time in conference play. Big 12 with a big Monday matchup. Third-ranked Kansas, number 24, TCU.
Wilson fakes on a three, dribbled in and kicked it out. He's still here. Airball chance. Here's Grady, a deep three. He buried it. Grady Dick from 25 feet. And KU goes up 6. Its biggest lead. Plays it right side to Wilson. Promptly back to Juan. They feed it into Kevin. Posting up. Turns with a jump hook. Gets it to Carlin. It hung up on the front lip for what felt like 3 seconds. And then fell home. KU by 3.
Ryan Haney from Learfield. Kansas, a 63-58 win over TCU. Grady Dick, game high 19 points, 3 of 10 from three-point range. Also had 6 rebounds. Kansas is 18-2 this season when he scores in double digits. They're 5-3 when he does not. He had 19 in this win. Kevin McCullough had 15 in the win. Kansas moves to 11-4 in conference play. ESPN analyst Sean Farnham.
I think it goes back to really the second half of that game against Baylor, right? I mean, they locked up defensively. They turned off the water for Cryer, Flagler, and George. And then tonight, I thought they did an excellent job defending. Look, in the first matchup, TCU was able to hit 3 after 3 after 3, and that's not who they are. They come in this game shooting just 29% from beyond the arc. So what you want to do is try to keep them out of the paint. And that's what Kansas did a great job. Look, Grady Dick got going, but you go win on the road, and Jalen Wilson shoots 3 of 11. I mean, that says something about your team. And I think this team will go as far as DeJuan Harris takes it. 8 assists tonight, 0 turnovers. And I know we talk about needing to get involved and wanting them to score more and be a little bit more assertive there. But so much of college basketball, it's okay to have a game manager as a point guard. You need a game manager as a point guard because there's going to be times where this offense can get out, run, and flow, and they can score 70, 80, 90 points. Then there's going to be other times where it's going to be a little bit slower, and you're going to have the first one to 60 wins. And that's what they were able to do tonight on the road against a very good TCU defensive team.
They had lost 3. They were thin, didn't have a big guy.
Yep.
Now, all of a sudden, KU, everybody's favorite again. Where do you see them? We haven't had a repeat champ since Florida. I mean, is that kooky talk?
No, it's not. I mean, welcome to college basketball this year. I mean, where we've had 8 teams already ascend number 1 and take a loss there. That goes back to 92, 93, I think, or 93, 94. This Kansas team is good enough to win a national championship this year. And the big part of that is I'm a big believer in who did you beat on your resume. Think about this. The NCAA committee came out and said, okay, here's our top seed line.
Yep.
And if you combine all the quad 1 victories of the 3 other teams, it gets to 20. Kansas picked up their 14th tonight by themselves. So I have a question for the committee. How are they not the number 1 overall seed, let alone just being on the 1 line, just based on who they've beaten? And so with that resume, in a year where we've seen mass inconsistencies across the board, go ahead and put the Jayhawks there and say, hey, they might be the favorite to win the NCAA tournament right now.
And that even coming off somewhat of a down night, at least from long-distance shooting on Monday. They were 3 of 16 from three-point range, 19%. That's tied for the second fewest in a game this season. 3 made three-pointers on 16 three-point shots. Grady Dick made all 3 of those three-pointers, and Kansas gets the win over TCU, 63-58. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. In the ACC, Duke making a bit of a statement in their matchup against Louisville.
8 seconds to go in the half. Proctor looking to the left. There's Roach. 5 seconds. Jeremy with 4, with 3. 18-footer up. Got it! Jeremy Roach buries it. And the Blue Devils lead by 9 at intermission. Filipowski now lively at the top of the key. Whips one to the right, and Jeremy Roach looking to bounce it in for Filipowski. He's got it the right block. Oh, what a spin! And he'll throw it down with 2 hands.
Wow, talk about a move. Trainer didn't know what happened.
Now it's out on Learfield. Duke a 79-62 win over Louisville. Blue Devils ending the game on a 7-0 run over the final 2 minutes and 20 seconds. They remain one of two ACC teams that are unbeaten at home this season, Miami being the other. Duke had all 5 starters in double figures for the first time this season, including guard Jeremy Roach, who had 14.
Jeremy, congratulations on the win. Last 5 games, this team loses 2 in a row, and then you win 3 in a row. As the veteran of the group, how have you seen the team get better as the season has gone on?
I mean, well, we've been through a lot of ups and downs throughout the season. We got a young team, but we've learned from all our losses. And Coach said now it's time to string together some wins. So it's the end of the season. This way you should really gel. And I think we're finding our way right now.
One thing Coach Shire talks a lot about is the combo of you and Tyrese Proctor. How has he impacted your game, and how has that 1-2 punch been?
I mean, he's had a lot of relief off me. He's bringing up the ball, setting stuff up, setting guys up. It's making it kind of easy for me to just do my thing and focus on one thing. But I mean, I'm happy for Tyrese. I love playing with him. He's been a great addition to our team.
And speaking of you being able to do your thing, we put your family on camera towards the end of the game, and they're smiling and they're laughing. How much does their support mean to you?
I mean, it means everything. I mean, they support me at every game, whether it's far away, whether they're away home, they're there all the time. So, I mean, I love them people. I love my mom, love my dad, love my sister, my brother. Hope he's watching too. They show so much support, and that gives you all the confidence in the world.
And how far is that drive from Leesburg to here?
About 4.5 hours. About 4.5. They make that trip 2 times a week, so you gotta love them. Gotta love them.
9-hour round trip, multiple times a week. Duke's Jeremy Roach with our Andrea Carter. Duke gets the win on Big Monday, beating Louisville. John Shire's 20-8 this season in his first year coaching Duke. ESPN analysts Seth Greenberg and LaFonso Ellis.
They're buying into their roles, too, and I've been so impressed with how Derek Lively has approached it. He was the #1 player in the country coming out of high school. I know he came in expecting the fact that he was going to be the centerpiece of the offense. He is not. He's owned his role as a floor runner, shot blocker, lob threat, and shot blocker on the interior, and he's been absolutely terrific in owning his role, Seth. 7 rebounds a game, 3 of them offensive, 3 block shots over his last 2. He's really owned his role.
They started the season, Derek Lively was out, Tariq White was out. Then all of a sudden, Jeremy Roach got injured. Now they've got everyone back. So now they're defining roles. They're championing roles. They're understanding substitution patterns. They're gaining an identity. The greatest thing John Shire did besides moving Proctor to the point guard is he's focused on the finish line, right? And what I mean by that is each and every day, they're worrying about Duke basketball. They're working on themselves and then preparing for the next game. They're not getting lost in each game as a separate entity, but more importantly, their team and the big picture. They will be playing their best basketball come March.
Duke could be playing their best basketball come March. UNC's having an entirely different season. They began the year as the preseason #1 team. They are in serious jeopardy of even making the tournament at this point. ESPN analyst Myron Metcalf.
I was there in Portland with the Phil Knight Invitational when it started. It just doesn't make any sense. They brought all those guys back from the national championship game team. They were up by 12 at halftime in that game. I just think it's one of those deals where when you start high and the collapse begins, if you don't have a guy who can kind of stop that, you see what we're witnessing right now. So, but this is unprecedented. No team has ever started #1 and not made the tournament.
North Carolina could be the first. On the women's side, Monday, we had a record-setting night on ESPN2. Stanford beats UCLA 71-66. Cameron Brink, 25 points, including 15 of 15 from the free throw line. Single-game Stanford record for most made free throws without a single miss. 5th player in D1 this season to hit at least 15 from the free throw line and be perfect on the night. People in Turkey affected by the recent earthquakes need our help. Please visit redcross.org/ESPN. to help the Red Cross respond. Your donation enables the Red Cross to prepare for, respond to, and help people recover from this disaster, and will provide people and communities affected with food, shelter, relief supplies, recovery planning support, and other assistance. That's redcross.org/ESPN. Tuesday marks a key day for a number of NFL teams. That's next. SportsCenter All Night continues. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up Tuesday, while there may not be any more games on the field, I'll tell you why this is a huge week in the NFL. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, ESPNU.
This is Sports Center All Night.
Are you working way too hard for way too little? There's never been a better time to consider a career in IT. You could enjoy a recession-resistant career in a rewarding field with plenty of growth opportunities and often flexible work environments. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You could start your new career in months, not years. Take classes online or on campus, and financial aid is available to qualified students, including the GI Bill. Now is the time. mycomputercareer.edu.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. We have the pads, rotors, drums, shoes, and brake fluids to improve your stopping power. Right now, save 15% when you get any 2 Duralast rotors with a set of Duralast brake pads. Missing a tool? Ask about our free Loan-A-Tool program and borrow the tools you need to get the job done. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Claim based on data from the MPD Group 2021. Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool.
ESPN New York, everywhere. Whether you're driving in your car or riding the LIRR, ESPN New York is never out of reach.
We're going to try to touch as many of you as possible.
No matter your listening routine, never miss Stump Rothenberg for your morning run. I have a lot of knowledge. Never miss the Power Hour. Power Hour. Due to your power lunch. And never miss an ENN. ENN. Again. Hailing a cab, catching the train, or boarding a bus. The ESPN New York app is your ticket to ESPN New York everywhere. Download the app today.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code ESPN20 for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's code ESPN20. Use code ESPN20 for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. Looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
The biggest names, the biggest games, they're all right here. This is 1050 ESPN New York.
Sports Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
Tag, you're it. Sports Center All Night continues. ESPN Radio. We are heading into Tuesday, and that's a key date for the NFL as it's the opening window where teams are able to apply the franchise and transition tags to pending free agents. And one of the most high-profile scenarios, of course, is in Baltimore.
I don't think the Baltimore Ravens ever have a chance unless Lamar Jackson is their quarterback. Lamar Jackson has done everything he's supposed to do while he's been in Baltimore.
It felt like an all-time great pairing. The Baltimore Ravens, one of the NFL's model organizations. Lamar Jackson, one of the most dynamic players the league has seen. The team built an offense around Jackson, who delivered an MVP award in his second season. They were a great match, seemingly destined to stay together.
I love Lamar. I love everything about Lamar. Always have, always will.
But somewhere along the line, things got shaky. After failing to reach an agreement on a long-term contract in the 2021 or 22 offseason, Jackson, for the second straight year, finished the season injured, unable to return for last month's wildcard game due to a knee injury. Now, the Ravens and Jackson enter an offseason of significant uncertainty, with the star quarterback eligible for free agency.
I don't know how the Ravens, in good faith, can give him a guaranteed contract. And if he doesn't get a contract, I don't see Lamar Jackson signing with the Ravens long term.
Longtime Ravens offensive coordinator Greg Roman left the organization last month, clouding the situation even more.
Lamar Jackson is a cheat code. He breaks the code. He can do whatever the hell he wants to do, whenever the hell he wants to do it.
Nobody cares about what you're doing. You got to work hard. If they doubt you, work hard.
Need the MVP. It's a fallback for you. I mean, if you really bought it, gotta say that too.
So what's next? The Ravens will undoubtedly designate Jackson their franchise player if they can't get a deal done in the coming weeks.
The gap in guaranteed money between what Jackson wants and what the team wants is huge. That's going to be really hard to get to, so we're looking at a one-year situation.
If Jackson is frustrated enough by the lack of a deal and the restrictions of the franchise tag, he could conceivably sit out the offseason or part of the regular season, or even demand a trade.
Even if Baltimore comes to the table with the money that Lamar is looking for, he might have already made his decision.
If Jackson continues to demand a fully guaranteed contract, as he did last offseason, and the team refuses to grant that on principle, as it did last offseason, it's possible the team could go frustrated enough to consider moving Jackson elsewhere.
A deal would have been done already if both sides really wanted to remain in Baltimore.
In the end, there's still a chance this works out, that a compromise can be reached to keep this once perfect relationship together in spite of the current rough patch.
I want him here, and Lamar wants to be here. It's going to work out.
Jackson and the Ravens have been good for each other, and there's no guarantee either will be better off if they split up.
They've been good for each other, but they haven't been able to come to terms on a long-term deal. ESPN Ravens reporter Jamison Hensley says the tag will need to be placed.
I think they have to put the exclusive tag on him. Obviously, it's much more expensive to do so. It's $45 million. The non-exclusive tag is $32 million. But I think at this point, just to protect themselves, you would have to use the exclusive tag. Now, if they put the tag on him, I think not only, I don't know if it would have to be Lamar to say, hey, I want to trade or whatever. I think once they put the tag on, I think other teams would say, hey, the clock's now ticking. Maybe they can reach out to the Ravens and even offer, make some trade offers.
And by they, it's Lamar Jackson himself because he's his own agent.
If Lamar had an agent, I think he might be able to better size up the market and put him in a better situation. I think that's where it's really going to hurt him. I think if he still is talking to the NFLPA, and NFLPA obviously wants to make sure and say, hey, the Deshaun Watson is a precedent, it's not an outlier. If he continues this strategy, I think he only ends up hurting himself. And I think that at this point, not having an agent, I think that's where it really hurts him.
Lamar Jackson expected to be tagged in Baltimore. And speaking of agents, there's New York. The Giants have decisions to make regarding both quarterback Daniel Jones and running back Saquon Barkley. ESPN's Jeff Darlington.
Jay, I was speaking with my Giants sources, and I want to be very clear. The team definitely wants to keep both players. They're both eligible for that tag and both candidates for it. But my source also pointing out that they would like to actually get long-term deals done with both guys and not use the tag on either. Maybe that's slightly wishful thinking, but they can start negotiating with each of those guys. Daniel Jones just changed agents, so that negotiation is sort of at square one right now. No real progress there. My source says when it comes to Saquon Barkley, there is still a gap in those negotiations. Now, the date for us to watch is actually March 7th. I don't expect either guy to get tagged this week. March 7th is the last day that you can tag a player. So I would imagine that the Giants will negotiate with both players until that date. And if they can get close with one, maybe get the deal done. If they can't get close with the other, they tag that guy and then work toward a long-term deal in the coming months.
As Jeff mentioned, the non-exclusive tag for a quarterback is just over $32 million, but then that would limit the ability to spend during the offseason to gain the weapons that the Giants lacked in 2022. The expectation prior to Daniel Jones's agent switch was that a long-term deal with Jones would come in at more than $35 million per season, according to sources that would currently put him in the top 10 in players paid at that position. More coaching moves coming down. Colts expected to hire Jim Bob Cooter as the offensive coordinator. He's most recently been the passing game coordinator for the Jaguars. Miami is bringing in Ronaldo Hill as their defensive pass game coordinator, working under Vic Fangio. He had been the defensive coordinator for the Chargers. Chargers, in turn, promote Derek Ansley to defensive coordinator. So which players should New York pounce on? Might not be who you think. That's next. Sports Center all night at ESPN Radio.
Greeny.
I believe if he announced today his retirement, he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer. After 5 years, he's played 6 total. He's only actually been on the field for 5 of them. He would be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Coming up Tuesday, I'll tell you why the last 23 games of the Lakers season will define Anthony Davis' future. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Baseball, basketball, pickleball. Those are sports, and people love sports. If you love sports, you should know this. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. Does saving have anything to do with sports? No, but people love sports, so I'm yelling sports out. Hockey, swimming, golf. Not all sports have the word ball in there, so save big when you switch to Progressive. Go sports teams!
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish. Sounds easy. It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
You can't miss a moment with Greeny.
You know how strongly I feel about the team that I follow in football, the New York Jets. If you need 25 things to win a Super Bowl, they've got like 22 of them. Overwhelmingly, the most important one, they have the worst quarterbacks in the NFL as opposed to good ones. So the Aaron Rodgers thing is going to be a saga because he's so incredibly unpredictable.
Greeny, weekday mornings at 10 a.m. on 98.7 ESPN.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. A Jacuzzi bath system fits in your existing tub space. It's a no-mess installation with an amazing style selection, factory-certified installers, and a limited limited lifetime warranty. Call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599 right now and get 50% off installation with no interest and no payments for 12 months. Replace that old bathtub today with a walk-in shower for a safer bathing experience. If you have lived in your home for over 15 years, it's time to remodel your bathroom. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599. 800-717-4599.
ESPN Podcasts, no matter what you're a fan of.
Welcome into the Fantasy Focus Football Podcast. Hollywood mogul McConaughey. This is the kind of guest you're going to get on the SV Pod.
His reputation is...
Comes from Lenny.
The legend that is Adam Schefter.
It's Julie Bowdy. Simone Biles is in the house.
Listen to me now. Believe me later on. This has been ESPN Daily. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
ESPN Podcasts. Something for everyone. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't miss the #1 rated afternoon drive show in New York. It's the Michael K. Show. And it's every weekday at 2:55 on 98.7 ESPN.
Sports Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
Sports Center All Night presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier. They'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Half-hour headlines on Sports Center All Night.
Russell Westbrook is heading back to L.A. to the Clippers. Bruins beat the Senators on the ice. Bruins now have 91 points in 56 games this season, matching the NHL record for fewest games to 90 points. Kansas, another impressive win in that tough Big 12 this season. Sports Center All Night, ESPN Radio. Kansas, a 63-58 win over TCU. Grady Dick, game high 19 points for the Jayhawks. Kansas with its 12th game against a ranked team this season. That's the most in Division I, and the Jayhawks have won 7 of those 12 games. Coach Bill Self.
I'm proud of this team. They've done great. We haven't accomplished jack, but we put ourselves in a favorable position to maybe do something. But this league is so hard. You know, everybody talked about the skies falling and you lost 3 in a row. In this league, that can happen. But we've recovered pretty good since then. But I think we got a nice team. I don't know that we got a great team or exceptional team, but I think I'd stack our metrics up against anybody right now.
Kansas right now 11-4 in conference play. They're one of the top, the 1 seeds, as proposed by ESPN bracketologist Joe Lenardi. Duke beating Louisville on Monday, 79-62. Blue Devils ending the game on a 7-0 run over the final 2 minutes plus. Duke had all 5 starters in double figures, but ESPN analyst Sean Farnham isn't necessarily convinced about the team.
I see a young team that's still trying to figure out who they are, and they're getting closer and closer.
I mean, they got dudes.
Yeah, they got a lot of dudes, but they got a lot of new faces, too, 10 of them, to be exact. So when you have that many new faces and you got a new coach, and it's not Coach K on the sideline, things kind of change a little bit. You know, it's not a bad thing, and I think this team is getting better and better every single game they go out and they play right now. They started their season at the Champions Classic. Then you go to the PK. I mean, it's not like this young crew got to ease their way into college basketball and figure out exactly how they want to do it. They're getting healthier. They weren't healthy earlier in the season. Now they're at full strength. Now you're starting to see them execute at a much higher clip. And that's why I think the important thing right now, when you look at this team, and we talk about the NCAA tournament and where they kind of fit into the field right now, they're looking at like an 8-9 seed. Now, if they're an 8-9 seed, the likelihood of getting to a second weekend, I don't know. The 1 seeds are kind of, a little bit all over the place. But the path to get there is a lot more difficult. So what you look at for this team is you've got a couple significant games that you can kind of cement yourself as really being back and gain momentum till you get to the ACC tournament. That's North Carolina State, who's had a great season under Coach Keats. And then it's that North Carolina game that ends the regular season. You get those 2 games and get in the ACC tournament, all of a sudden get to the finals or maybe even win the ACC tournament. Yeah. Now we're going to feel really differently than we do right now. And I think this team can do it. They just have to keep the gradual steps over the next couple of weeks.
Right now, new coach John Shire, first year with the team, 20-8. Shire's 20th win this season, most wins in the first season by a Duke head coach since 1950. But what about projecting out to that possible slotting in the NCAA tournament? ESPN bracketologist Joe Lenardi.
I think Duke is limited in many respects
by the league that they're in this year. Where are the opportunities to make a big climb here down the stretch? Tonight's win takes them from the 7 line to a 6. Maybe they run the table in the regular season and get to a 5. But then in the ACC tournament, is there enough to get them up onto those top 4 lines as a protected seed? I think there'll be a lot of momentum and a lot of public sentiment in their favor. If they finish really strong, I don't see why they can't, but their ceiling is a 4, more likely a 5 if I'm betting on it tonight.
You beat Louisville, you probably should stay pretty much the same. I like this Duke team in terms of the tournament, but their resume doesn't say move them up just yet with only 2 quad 1 wins and 2 quad 2 losses. Does that make any sense?
It does, but here's something else that makes sense. I had Duke and Providence essentially tied for 24th overall on the seed list today, knowing that Duke was playing tonight. And, you know, it wasn't an overwhelming win, but it was a very solid win. And when we're talking, you know, slivers of percentage points, that's enough to slide up. It wouldn't take you all the way from the last 7 until the 6, but they were the highest 7, and now they go to the lowest 6. You want me to flip them back, Providence and Duke? I'm fine with that, too.
Still have some weeks to figure out before Selection Sunday. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio.
If there's anything I could change about the league to make it better, probably just all the guys sitting resting.
If all we do every time somebody accomplishes something is say, well, let's see it in the playoffs, then who cares what happens in a February game?
I don't disagree with either side.
Load management certainly coming into the limelight again over the course of the NBA All-Star Weekend. Commissioner Adam Silver essentially saying he hears the frustration from the fans, but he is trying to study the data and figure out the science. Akin to load management may have been the effort or lack thereof at the All-Star game Sunday night. Nuggets coach Mike Malone called it the worst basketball game ever played. Here's our Stephen A. Smith.
There was no effort whatsoever. What we should be able to see, other than dunks, we should not be able to look at a basketball game and know that anybody could be on the court with you based on the effort you're putting on display. It just reeks of a level of arrogance and taking fans for granted that we continue to lament. So again, you know what? I just look at it from that perspective, and I applaud Coach Malone for highlighting the flagrant lack of effort. Again, in the sport of football, it's perfectly understandable, Wendy. It's perfectly understandable in the sport of football where you don't want to see that physicality because it's a violent sport. But in basketball, they play in the summer leagues. They play in the off season harder, considerably harder than they played yesterday.
The NBA returns to the court on Thursday, and on the heels of the trade deadline, Russell Westbrook is on the move again after being dealt by the Lakers to Utah. He's released by the Jazz and expected to sign with the LA Clippers. ESPN insider Brian Windhorst.
There is probably no bigger supporter in the NBA of Russell Westbrook than Paul George. Paul George, who formed that bond with him when they were in Oklahoma City. If you remember, Paul George had all kinds of teams all over him ready to pull him out of there. And at midnight on July 1st, he and Russ said, I'm staying with you, Russ. So he eventually has to be traded, but don't ask about that right now. Paul George, as soon as Russ was traded, began advocating to his front office. He wanted Russ in a Clipper uniform. The way the Clippers are structured, they don't really have a pure point guard. They don't have much pure point guard play on the roster. They use a lot of hybrid guys to start the team. Terrence Mann, Paul George, Eric Gordon, a lot of different guys initiate their offense. So there is a role there for a pure point guard. The big key here is that Russell Westbrook had lengthy discussions with Ty Lue and with Lawrence Frank, the president of basketball operations, about what the role is going to be. Because I think part of the issue in LA, a big part of the issue, was that he was brought into LA to be an equal member with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. It was seen as a big three. And then when that didn't get out, he kind of had to be pushed to the side. He is going to be coming in here with a different set of circumstances. Now, whether he will follow that and whatever that role they've got carved out, and he will be happy in that role, that's yet to be seen. But there is no doubt that there will be a push within the locker room, particularly from Paul George, who clearly has an incredible voice with that team to make this work. And so I think out of the situations that existed out there, whether it was Miami or Chicago or any other place that was interested in Russ, because of the Paul George support, I think this has got the best chance to work. Having said that, you know that in a playoff setting, as soon as Russell Westbrook comes on the court, the opposing team will align their defense accordingly, completely ignore him, and it will be easier to guard Paul George, easier to guard Kawhi Leonard, and the pressure will be on Russ to victimize that. Sometimes he has. A lot of times in the last couple of years, he hasn't. But April 5th, Lakers, Clippers, I promise you the Lakers are going to need to win that game. That is now must-see TV.
Lakers, Clippers on Wednesday, April 5th will be on ESPN. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio.
Well, I think he's going to end up back in Green Bay when it's all said and done.
If I am the Jets, I'm not waiting to see if Carr is going to come to me. I'm going to go make the moves to try and get Aaron Rodgers. The number one spot I'm looking at right now, it's the Raiders.
Aaron Rodgers spending his weekend in his darkness retreat. We'll see if he sheds any light on his future this week. ESPN Packers reporter Rob Demovsky saying it's not necessarily as nail-biting for Green Bay this offseason.
This offseason, they're probably more patient than they had been last year, simply because I think they feel like they have a little bit better handle on what Jordan Love is. And that's not to say that if they turn to Jordan Love this year that they're going to be, a 10, 11, 12 win team, because Aaron Rodgers' first year, while he had a very good year as a first-year starter in 2008, they went 6-10. So there is, it's not like they're automatically a contender, but they do feel a lot better about where Jordan Love is now as opposed to a year ago at this time.
Meanwhile, there's the situation in New York with the Jets. Derek Carr visiting with New York, and then there's the Aaron Rodgers scenario hanging out there. But if you're the Jets, do you pounce now or do you wait? ESPN analyst Damian Woody.
Ever since that this whole the scenario has kind of been, out there where the Jets possibly could, add Aaron Rodgers, I've been pounding the table, advocating for the Jets to go to Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. But I just, the more and more I think about it, the more and more for me, it makes sense for the Jets to go after Derek Carr. And here's why. The big part of it is the compensation when you're talking about Aaron, when you talk about adding Aaron Rodgers, you're going to give up multiple picks. You got to give up a lot to go give up Aaron Rodgers because, rightfully so. He's a multiple-time MVP. He's still one of the best quarterbacks that we have in the National Football League, although he did have a down year last year. And when I look at the Jets, there's a lot to be intrigued about with the Jets, a lot to like about the Jets. Obviously, their defense. They have one of the best defenses in the National Football League. They got a lot of young pieces on both sides of the ball. On offense, they got Breece Hall, the running back, who obviously got hurt, but he's going to come back. Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore. They got a lot of pieces. But the one area that the New York Jets that they need to clean up and get fixed is the offensive line. Okay, right now, if you look at the Jets and you look at their offensive line, they only have, honestly, 2 reliable pieces up front of their offensive line. That offensive line is going to have to be remade once again. And so if you bring in a guy like Aaron Rodgers, obviously you're going to have to trade picks. Well, those picks are the picks that you're going to be counting on to try to remake this offensive line. And I don't care how good you are at the quarterback position. You bring in Aaron Rodgers, as great as Aaron Rodgers is, as much as you talk about how bad of a man he is, if he's trying to operate behind a shaky offensive line, it doesn't matter. And so for me, I'm just thinking, putting it all in this totality, I would rather go with Derek Carr, who's not a scrub, by the way. Go with Derek Carr, be able to keep the assets that I have to continue to flush out this offensive line and give my team the best chance to win.
Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. As for guys trying to get to the NFL, nearly 4 dozen getting a look by NFL personnel from all teams at the HBCU Combine, considered another big success. ESPN's Teron Davenport.
For the 47 players who gathered in the New Orleans Saints practice facility Monday, it was a rare chance to make a face-to-face impression with NFL scouts. Grambling State and NFL legend Doug Williams knows firsthand just how rare an opportunity it is.
The more you give people an opportunity and more eyes you got on, the better for you. You know, a lot of these kids say, you know, I'm not going to participate. I won't wait till my pro day. Well, you know, at the HBCU, chance of your pro day having 2 or 3 scouts, that's 6 pair of eyes. Here, you got 31 teams that are represented here. You know how many pair of eyes that is? It don't take but one team to like you. And this is an opportunity of a lifetime right here.
It's very, humbling, and it's a great experience, and I'm glad to be here. Not a lot of guys from where I come from, get this opportunity, and to be one of the few to be here is really a blessing.
The opportunity means a little more for a prospect like Florida A&M wide receiver Xavier Smith. Coming out of high school, he didn't get any college offers and was working at Amazon before he decided to walk on at A&M and eventually earn a scholarship. Smith drew several smiles from scouts who timed him at 4.39 and 4.38, and he isn't afraid to make big-name comparisons to his game.
I feel like I have the ability to bring that excitement with the ball in my hands as a Lamar Jackson, just being versatile in any offense the way that Deebo Samuel is, being able to run routes the same way Devontae Adams can, and just running by defenders on a consistent basis the same way as Tyreek Hill.
Smith was among a handful of prospects who stood out and turned some NFL heads on Monday. So did Virginia State running back Darius Higgins and lane edge defender Andrew Farmer. This was a huge opportunity for those guys, as well as NFL scouts and personnel folks. One scout told me that it was critical to get an up-close look at the prospects so they could see their body types and how well they took care of themselves while they were at school. For ESPN, I'm Teron Davenport.
All 32 teams represented. Steelers general manager Omar Khan among those on hand for the combine. Is one of the most versatile players headed to free agency? That's next. Sports Center all night at ESPN Radio.
Coming up Tuesday, a pitching clock, bigger bases, limited defensive shifts. I'll tell you what the new rules mean for baseball fans. Keyshawn J. Willimax, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
More Sports Center all night. Next.
The Michael K. Show is on. If he is, in fact, demanding $45 million, what would Bill Belichick do if this was in New England?
Me let him go.
And that's exactly what I do if I'm the Giants. This year, he had a really nice year, and he's going to then turn around and demand 45. I would either, A, show me this year what you're going to do, or move on altogether. Not getting completely bullied by Daniel Jones. Don't miss the Michael K. Show. Weekdays at 3 on 98.7 ESPN.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code ESPN17 for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's code ESPN17. Use code ESPN17 for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message data rates may apply.
Nice run. It's great being back out on the mountain. You sort of disappeared for a while. Everything okay? Between you and me, it was lower testosterone. Lower T? Yeah. The doc told me once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone, and that can make it harder to stay in shape. That's why I started taking Nugenix Total T. It's made a huge difference. Oh, I've seen that on TV. Is it for real? For sure. It's the #1 doctor-recommended testosterone booster. It boosts free and total testosterone levels to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. My wife, my boss, my kids, everyone has noticed a change in me. Do they still give out complimentary bottles for people to try for themselves?
Yes, just send them a text. Guys, text HEFTY to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone brand at GNC and Walmart. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back in shape fast, absolutely free. Text HEFTY to 321-321. That's HEFTY to 321-321.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
The biggest names, the biggest games. They're all right here. This is 1050 ESPN, New York.
Sports Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
We're taking you to Key, Jay and Max, 6 o'clock Eastern time here on ESPN Radio. Sports Center All Night, presented by Progressive Insurance. The agent for Shohei Ohtani, usually hush-hush about his client's contract status, but did make some waves on Monday, saying Ohtani has the right to explore free agency and will probably do that, even if it does ultimately result in Ohtani returning to the Angels. Shohei Ohtani, of course, was in the MVP discussion last season. Aaron Judge won it. Could 2023 be another magical year for him?
It could be. You never know. You never know. But I'm looking forward to it. Every time you play in New York, I feel like it's like you're chasing history. So it's I'm used to those moments and I'm looking forward to it. If it's historic or not, I'm looking forward to being back here and getting this thing rolling.
Aaron Judge, new deal in New York for this season and is now the Yankees team captain. As for Monday's top sounds, we say hello to Mark Robbins.
Number 4.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Hello there, Jay. How was your day? Well, it doesn't matter how your day was, because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max this morning, right here on ESPN Radio, giving us the backstory on his becoming co-owner of the XFL.
In March of 2020, I get a call from Danny, and she said, "Hey, I got an idea. It's a crazy idea, but it's a big idea." I said, "Well, don't threaten me with a big idea. Bring it on." And she goes, she said, "Let's buy the XFL." And guys, I got to tell you, it was not only the easiest yes, but in life, when an idea shifts and clicks, and immediately, oh, this is something special.
Number 3.
All right, now let's get back to the sound from the Monday games, like at Cameron Indoor, where Duke was handling the Louisville Cardinals on Learfield.
Filipowski now lively at the top of the key. Works one to the right, and Jeremy Roche looking to bounce it in for Filipowski. He's got it the right block. Oh, what a spin! And he'll throw it down with 2 hands.
Wow, talk about a move. Trainer didn't know what happened.
Number 2.
On the ice, Winnipeg gets some top sound love in a 4-1 win over the Rangers on 680 CIOB.
Appleton across the line. Now drop for Connor for Scheifele with a slide backhand shot. He scores! Mark Scheifele with his second of the night and team leading 34th of the year. And Winnipeg might just have salted this away. It's 4-1 for the Jets.
Baby. Number 1.
And speaking of 2-goal games, Boston's David Pasternak had one as the Bruins celebrated President's Day by beating the Senators. On 98.5, the Sports Hub.
McAvoy on his backhand. Drove it up the left side, couldn't get it out. And from his knees, gets it out. Breakaway for Pasternak into the slot. Backhand. He scores! He's got 2 goals today. That's his 41st. He slips it 5-hole off the breakaway on Mandalese. Bruins 3, Senators 1.
Bruins get the win by that 3-1 count. They now have 91 points on the season, 91 points in 56 games, matching the NHL record for fewest games to 90 points in a season. Panthers a 4-3 overtime win over the Ducks. Ducks have allowed 30 goals over the past 5 games. Sharks a 4-0 shutout of the Kraken. Kraken's 3rd shutout loss of the season. Their 2nd in 8 games since the All-Star break. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. NBA coming out of the All-Star break this week. Teams will return to the court on Thursday. Russell Westbrook will not be joining the Utah Jazz, released by the Jazz on Monday, headed to the Clippers to sign there. ESPN NBA reporter Om Young Masuk.
I think they're hoping that he'll be a better version of John Wall. I mean, the John Wall experience did not work as they had hoped it would. I think that John at times showed glimpses of what he could be and what he could bring to the team as far as forcing tempo. Clippers are one of the slowest teams in the league. Being a guy that can get to the rim and create his own path and shot of getting to the rim, I think that is something that they can use in addition to Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And then also someone that brings intensity and a certain amount of swagger and explosiveness to the team. They kind of lack that outside of Paul and Kawhi, especially like even though they are a roster and a locker filled with veterans, they can use a strong personality.
Clippers and Kings in L.A. on Friday. Today, the first day for NFL teams to franchise tag their players if they so choose. Interesting decision in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. Exclusive or non-exclusive? ESPN's Jeremy Fowler.
I expect the Ravens to put the exclusive tag on him, which would keep other teams from being able to move in, but ultimately still allowing the Ravens to potentially tag and trade Lamar Jackson if they can't reach a long-term deal.
The non-exclusive tag would open up an opportunity for another team to take control of the situation with an offer sheet. The franchise tag window opens today, March 7th, the deadline. It's Tuesday, February 21st, birthday of Anthony Daniels, the actor. C-3PO, he's now 77. CP3 likely getting a new teammate on the court this week in KD. PG-13 getting Russell Westbrook. Things getting interesting in the West. Reaction this morning with Key, Jay, and Max. They're next. I'm Jay Reynolds. Back tomorrow with SportsCenter all night. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up next, Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. Lenny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. The Low Post Podcast with Zach Lowe.
Tatum, I think at worst, he's third in MVP right now. He's playing defense at a borderline all-defense level. He's too young for these conversations to really start in earnest. If he's a Celtic for life for most of his career, he has a chance to be historically, for the one of the two historic giants in the league, as great as any player who's ever worn that uniform, including Bird.
Check out the Low Post Podcast on the ESPN app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
The Bart and Hahn Show. This is New York. We're supposed to expect the best. I'm going to offer you 3 doors. You don't wait, and you take what's behind door number 2 or door number 3, which is Derek Carr, who's available now, or Jimmy Garoppolo, who will be available as a free agent. Door number 1 is obviously Aaron Rodgers. But here's the caveat. If you open the door and he comes out of his darkness retreat and says, I'm not going to New York, and your consolation then has to be Ryan Tannehill.
Bart Scott and Alan Hahn. Weekdays at noon on 98.7 ESPN.